Just pause for a second and listen. Can you hear it? A relentless, rhythmic pounding deep inside your mind, an undeniable sense that everything is passing. We call it time. It's the foundation of all our experience: birth, growth, death. It seems like the most obvious truth, yet ask yourself, does it truly exist as a flowing river? Or is it just the way our consciousness is forced to organize the chaos of reality? We live in a bizarre illusion. When you look up at a star, you are seeing light that may have traveled for millions of years to reach your eye. You are looking into the deep past, but you perceive it as your very own present. That discrepancy is the first clue. Our present is a delay, a continuous motion, an illusion conveniently arranged by the mind. If time isn't a flowing river, but just stacked layers of space, then everything we call the past, the present, and the future might already exist simultaneously, and we are simply locked into a single dimension of experience. And here's the kicker. We spent centuries living under the tyranny of absolute time. Isaac Newton envisioned time as a boundless avenue, flowing smoothly, unaffected by anything in the universe. But then, Albert Einstein arrived and shattered that map with his theory of relativity. He showed us that time is not absolute. It is a flexible property, inextricably linked to space, forming that four-dimensional fabric we call spacetime. This structure can be warped and distorted by mass and energy. Think about it. Gravity slows time down. Speed stretches it out. My time is not necessarily your time. If time can be deformed, how can it be called absolute? This discovery led to an even deeper question. If time is just an axis, a dimension of the universe, what prevents all points on that axis from existing at once? The evidence is startlingly close to home. Our global positioning satellites, GPS, are constantly experiencing a slight difference in gravity and speed compared to Earth. Without complex calculations to correct the time dilation predicted by Einstein, your GPS location would be off by miles every single day. Time is not a constant. It is demonstrably a variable fabric. This is where the concept of the block universe emerges. In this view, every event from the cosmos's birth to its ultimate demise exists simultaneously. The universe isn't a film being projected, it's an eternal monument already complete. Every past, present, and future moment is etched forever into the space-time fabric. Imagine your birth, a conversation you will have 10 years from now. The final event in human history. It's all already there. We aren't moving through time. Our consciousness is merely sliding along one slice labeled the present. This realization presents a terrifying philosophical problem. If everything already exists, do we truly have free will? Or are we simply following a pre-drawn path in this everlasting block of ice? This idea profoundly challenges the narrative we build around regret and anticipation. If the future is not something we are heading towards, but something that is simply waiting for us, the entire human condition must be redefined. Einstein himself accepted this unsettling truth when he wrote, "The distinction between the past, the present, and the future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. If everything exists eternally, why do we only feel time moving in one direction, from order to chaos, from young to old? This is the mystery of the arrow of time. Most fundamental laws of physics are time-symmetric. They work just as well if time runs backward, but one law does not. The second law of thermodynamics related to entropy, disorder. Entropy always increases. We perceive the passage of time because we constantly witness the increase of disorder. Order turns to chaos. A hot cup of coffee cools down. Time in this view is not an entity, but a marker, a statistic that tracks the universe's rising disorder. If there were no increase in entropy, perhaps we would have no experience of time passing at all. Consider this. If we could somehow reverse the entropy in a small system, time itself for that system might appear to run backward. But our entire universe started in a state of extremely low entropy, the Big Bang. And this initial condition is what dictates the forward flow we observe. The arrow of time is less a rule of physics and more a massive historical accident. It is our collective inability to return to the original state of maximum order that creates the feeling of irreversible flow. And then, quantum mechanics arrives and makes time even more hazy and illogical. At the subatomic level, time is not a smooth, linear measurement. In quantum models, events can occur without a fixed timeline. Some physicists even argue that at the most fundamental level, time is unnecessary. When scientists try to reconcile relativity, governing gravity and spacetime, with quantum mechanics, governing particles, they often hit a wall. Time simply vanishes from the equations. Most notably, the Wheeler-DeWitt equation, a model for quantum gravity, famously contains no time variable, t. For physicists holding this view, this implies that at the deepest level of reality, time is not a fundamental element. It is an emergent property, something that only appears when there is enough matter to create gravity and entropy. Furthermore, some theories, like loop quantum gravity, suggest that time is quantized, meaning it exists in discrete, tiny packets of duration, rather than as a smooth continuum. This would imply that the flow we feel is not smooth at all, but a rapid succession of static moments, too fast for the human mind to perceive individually. If time is merely a secondary feature, a kind of interface created by the universe on a large scale, then it's nothing more than a complex illusion. Which brings us back to the starting point: consciousness. If time isn't a fundamental, physical entity, the only reason we feel its flow so powerfully is because the human brain is wired to create it. The brain is an information processing machine. To survive, we need to organize experience into a linear chain of cause and effect. We create memories, past, to learn, and we create predictions future, to plan. And in that fleeting gap, we call it the present. But try to grasp now. It's impossible. The moment you perceive it, it is already past. The present has no duration. It is a depthless plane, a narrow window that our consciousness slides across the block universe. Furthermore, neuroscience shows that signal processing in the brain takes time. You never experience absolute reality instantly. You are always perceiving a processed version, meaning you are always living in the very recent past. Time, therefore, is the narrative structure of consciousness, an organizational tool developed to turn the chaos of the block universe into a comprehensible story: your life. The variability of psychological time is perhaps the greatest clue. Why does time seem to slow down during a near-death crisis or speed up when we are having fun? Our brain adjusts its processing rate based on the volume of new information it is receiving. When we focus intensely, the brain records more frames per second, making the event feel longer. When we are bored, the lack of new information makes the processing feel sparse. Time is pliable, not just in the cosmos, but inside your skull. If time is an illusion constructed by the mind, can we break free from its grip? Many Eastern philosophical traditions have long suggested this, arguing that only the present moment is real. The past is the ghost of memory. The future is the speculation of imagination. Only pure presence is timeless. People who experience deep meditation or near-death experiences often describe reaching a timeless state where they see their entire lives, or even all of reality, simultaneously. No before or after, just pure, complete existence. These experiences may be the temporary shedding of the time mask created by the brain. If consciousness can be freed from linear logic, it might glimpse the true nature of the block universe. This is the profound promise of seeking stillness, to transcend the temporal prison built by our own cognitive demands and perceive the absolute, unchanging nature of reality. We have seen it all. Time can be relative. Time can be entropy. Time can vanish in the quantum realm, and time can be a product of consciousness. All modern scientific and philosophical paths lead to the same radical conclusion. The flow of time we perceive is not real. It is a statistical product, a cognitive tool, a narrative structure. Fundamental reality is an eternal present, where all moments are simultaneously happening. Perhaps our continued obsession with clocks, calendars, and measurements of passage is our greatest fear, the fear of static existence. We need the flow to feel like we are progressing, like we are alive. But the truth might be simpler and more liberating. We never left the now, and what we call time is perhaps just the veil covering a deeper truth. We are part of the infinite universe, where every single moment is happening, right now, eternally. The time you believe you are running out of is the one thing you actually possess infinitely, because you are already a piece of the eternal block. And here's the kicker. We spent centuries living under the tyranny of absolute time. Isaac Newton envisioned time as a boundless avenue, flowing smoothly, unaffected by anything in the universe. Your time, my time, a star's time, all moving together in a single, shared rhythm. But then Albert Einstein arrived and shattered that map with his theory of relativity. He showed us that time is not absolute. It is a flexible property, inextricably linked to space, forming that four-dimensional fabric we call spacetime. This structure can be warped and distorted by mass and energy. Think about it. Gravity slows time down. Speed stretches it out. My time is not necessarily your time. If time can be deformed, how can it be called absolute? This discovery led to an even deeper question. If time is just an axis, a dimension of the universe, what prevents all points on that axis from existing at once?